Hey YouTube, I just wanted to share something with you. I don't know if I had this in another video, but it just happened to me, so it's not fresh on my mind. And that is, when you get a call to do a live scan, you need to make sure that you ask if they have a current ID. And here in California, we need a current driver's license or state ID. And if they don't have that, then they need to come up with more documentation, like a passport, and then a utility bill, social security card, birth certificate. And they need at least 2 or 3 of those forms of ID to prove who they are. If they have a driver's license, they only need to show that. But since this lady that just contacted me, she had we go through the questions, and the thing I always focus on is the live scan request form, because normally people don't have that, or they're like, oh, I need that. They just call and they want you to take their fingerprints, but they don't have the live scan request form. So she did have the live scan request form, and then the next question is, how much is it? And then I go through and figure out how much it is, and I told her. She said, okay, great, come on out. And then she asked me, what else do I need? I said, you need the form and you need your current ID, your current driver's license. And then she goes, oh, well, my driver's license is expired. And I'm like, okay, well, then I go through the list of other things that she can use, but of course she doesn't have any of those things that I'm asking her to provide. So then I asked when she's getting her new ID, and she said, oh, it's probably a few weeks from now. And then I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna have to wait for your ID to come in, because I can't take an expired ID. It's not like notary work where in California you can take an expired ID if it was issued within the last 5 years, which I run into occasionally. It's not common as well that somebody has an expired ID that meets those parameters, but sometimes people lose their ID in the middle of their term, and they'll reissue another ID. You go and pay the money. I think it's like $35 or whatever. You pay that, and they'll issue another ID, but they won't extend the term. So if you have 1 year left on your ID, they'll give you the 1 year and say, okay, it's issued on, let's say, 2021, and it expires this year, 2022. And you're like, okay, and then in 2022 you have to go pay $35 again and do whatever else they need you to do to make that, to get 5 years again. So anyway, so that's the story, and I just want everybody to be aware of that. If you're in California, this is going to be important. If you're getting in the live scan, if you're in another state, you might have different state laws. So it's, this is very state specific, just like notary work. So you can take this with a grain of salt if you're in another state, okay? Because your state Department of Justice or laws may be different in regard to what forms of ID you can accept and if they're expired or not, and so forth. So just wanted to share that with you, and have a great day.